everybody. It's Mike Newman. It's Monday morning finish line on a Wednesday. Sorry, guys. So after a long weekend, your voice kind of goes. It's been going back and forth, back and forth. I'm in a back right now where it's doing pretty good, so I can talk a little bit. Wow. State weekend is always great. It's been great since I ran. It's night. The meet gets better every year. I'm not gonna make comments or whatever about some of the stuff that I've heard out there yet. But it was a good weekend. I was freaking out that at the beginning of last week that we were supposed to have rain on Friday and then rain on Saturday, but everything started to push back. So the course wasn't in the best shape, and I kind of thought that it wouldn't be. Especially when you have rain. We had rain on Saturday morning about 3 hours before the first race. When I started to drive over to the course, it was misting a little bit. I'm like, okay, I think we did okay here. And then it poured for about 5 minutes. I'm like, oh, I guess we didn't. Looking now, before we look at each of the races, looking at the team times, like for example, Naperville North girls ran the best team time ever. Now, they've only been running the 3-mile course for 15, 16 years now, compared to the boys, which has been, 46 years. But to run the fastest team time in under 86 minutes, first team to go under 86 minutes, that's pretty good. And on the boys' side, Downers Grove North, just dominating win, but they're tied for the 8th fastest all time. So there were some good performances there. Now, we didn't see the record. We didn't see the record going down. And you all know why by this point, with Dylan Jacobs getting sick early in the week. John O'Malley said, I didn't think he was going to, on Wednesday, he's like, I don't think we were going to, I didn't think we were going to run him. But watching them work out on Friday, he was running around. And with Dylan, he got 6th. He went out and he raced. He went after it. He didn't, afterwards, no excuses. You hear some people, I was sick, I didn't feel great today. Guess what? No excuses. 6th place. This is what it is. Move on. He's going to recover. He's going to run a great race on Sunday in Terre Haute, and excuse me. And then who knows after that, Foot Locker, and then in the national meets, he's going to run great. And the same for Danny Kilray. Danny just went out and hammered it. Just hammered it. And some of the course was soft. It was not like it was in September, where it was like a track and it was rock hard. Nothing you can do about that. So, but 14:08 for the second year in a row for Kilray. Now he's only the second person to win a state title. I didn't put this in here. Only the second person to win a state title running the exact same time that he did the year before. Can you guess who the other one is? Mario Vesse of Rock Island back in the 80s. Ran 14:42 his junior year. His senior year, 14:42, won state, and the course wasn't in great shape that day. Same thing. And that's the same thing with Kilray. You know what? Who cares about time? You're the state champion. It doesn't matter. So, 6A races, or the 6A races, jeez. I was just looking at the results from the Texas State meet, that's what I'm thinking. The 3A races, could we say the girls' race was anticlimactic? I mean, individually, Caitlin Hart just waits and grinds it, and then just took off the last mile. And Yeva Michelin, what a great season she's had. I mean, last year she was 92nd at state. This year she's second, one of the top times ever. Top 10, top 15 time ever on that course. That's pretty dang good. Emily Shelton, boy, what a season she had. She came on strong at the end, 3rd place for the 2nd year in a row. And then we talked about Naperville North, and we talked how good Yorkville is. I'm going to talk about NXR Regionals this weekend, but I really think that Yorkville and Naperville North are ahead of the rest of the teams in that region right now. So and it was close. Lyons Township. Boy, if I was wearing a hat, hats off to you. Third place in the state, moving up dramatically that last mile. Boy, did they move. And they got third, just ahead of very good Wheaton, Warrenville South, and Downers Grove South teams who were 9 points back, separated by 1 point. And both of those teams basically have everybody coming back next year. They're going to be tough. On the boys' side, we had Kilray, who just broke away from the pack. Clayton Mendez ran a super race. Came on strong at the end of the year, peaked at the right time. Will we see him in some of those races in Portland? Maybe. The the Midwest region is so loaded with individual talent. We'll see what Clayton can do, but it wouldn't surprise me if he's in the top 5. Or in Foot Locker, too. I could really see him making it as one of the top 10 runners there. And then third, then the pack came in. Tommy Brady stayed back throughout, moved the last mile, he got third. He's going to be the guy to watch next year. Number 1 returnee. And then we had Zach Kinney, who's going to be up there next year. And it goes from there. Team-wise, we talked about Downers Grove North. Neuqua Valley, Chris Keeley, who's usually their number 3 runner, had a bad race, collapsed at the finish line, was way back. For their team, he'll be back next week. He'll be up there again next week for that team. Wheaton Warrenville South gets third, their first trophy. Neuqua Valley second place. That was their first second place trophy. They've gotten so many thirds and so many firsts, so they need to get that second place trophy. Wheaton Warrenville South didn't run their best race. I think their split was a little bit bigger, but when you have an all-state runner like a sophomore like William Hohenstein, that's great. They're packed 43 seconds. I can see it narrowing down next week. So, and then, ooh. So for all of you people in Minnesota that say the Lakes Conference is the best conference in the nation, no. 5 in the first 7 teams, and one of the toughest state meets in the nation, Illinois, West Suburban Silver. So you had the 2 DVC teams. Well, 1 DVC team for next year, the Duquesne Conference for Wheaton Warrenville South, then West Suburban Silver with Hinsdale, LT, York ran a good race, and Glenbard West. So 5 in the first 7. And another thing too, for York, hats off to Charlie Kern. Boy, he ran, if you didn't look at the splits, he ran the last mile in 5 minutes. Went out comfortably. He hasn't raced since July. Ran last week at the sectionals, a little bit rusty, but he moved that last mile. It was so great to see. So great to see him back in the track. It would have been nice to see him up front, but sometimes things like that aren't meant to be, and bigger things are ahead for him. In the 2A boys race, watch this finish.
1-2 to the finish line. Rickman and Gebhardt. Rickman holding on. Gebhardt close behind. Third place is Becker now, all alone in third. Matthew Rickman.
And here we go again.
Gebhardt, Rickman with the championship.
14:22.
That was one of the closest finishes that we've seen in a long time. I remember my friend Jim Knudsen and Ryan Stoll in '81. I was watching my brother run, but these guys came in basically the same way, 14:22.2, 14:22.8. Here, the same thing. Now the IHSA rounds things up. It was 14:22.3 for Matt Rickman and 14:23 even for Jacob Gebhardt. Both of those runners together throughout the race. The guy that made that 2A race was Brett Hafner of Hinsdale South. So don't get me wrong in this. You're not a bandit. He earned his way in there. A bandit is somebody who sneaks into a race. He earned his way into that meet. He's been running good all year. He ran, he was close to Stephen Porton of Sycamore at Wheaton Academy at the end of September. I think they were 14:53, 14:55 at Crest Creek Farms, legitimate 3-mile course. So seeing Hafner up front didn't surprise me because he's a talented dude. And so if he wins the race, he went out, ran his pace, he was better than everybody else at the end. Is he a bandit then? Does he steal the race? We have to watch our vocabulary. We have to watch the words that we use on things like that. He didn't steal it. He went out after it. He earned his way in there. And that's it. I think he finished 13th, 15th. He was all-state. But he made that race because at the mile, if you look at the video at the mile, you see Gebhardt looking and thinking, you know what? He's not coming back. We have to go get him. So it forced them to go after. That second mile was pretty quick second mile for for standards. The triangle usually slows down in that second mile. They were pretty close to their pace. So what a great race, the 2A race. And Muhammad Seymour, boy, 3 runners in the top 9. Jeez. And their 4th and 5th runners, now Neil Garrison before the race said, hey, our 4th, 5th runners haven't had the confidence this year. We need to get their confidence. They did it. They ran a great race, both their 4th and 5th. It wasn't as dominating a race as last year, but who's going to remember that? Because they have 2 state championship trophies in a row. And a great race by Normal University and Sycamore. Boy, hats off to Stephen Porton. Injured right before state last year. He comes back this year, top 10. Fantastic. On the girls' side, Dunlop. Boy, what a great team race for all state runners. But they finally did it. And Belvedere North, you hate to see people fade at the end because of the conditions or you didn't hydrate enough or I don't know what happened with Madison Dirks at the end, but she was struggling to come in. That's tough to watch. But she's usually up with Gianna Sagona. Gianna Sagona of her teammate, who was 5th or 6th. Would have made that made the outcome different. Would have made it closer, but Dunlop won the battles on that day. Between 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th. Campbell Peterson 2nd. So you have these 3 teams again. Vernon Hills. What about Vernon Hills getting their 4th, 3rd place trophy? Hey, it's better than no trophies. So what can we say about that? The individual race, Jenna Schwartz, I got to see her in her first 2 races where she bolted out into the lead, the first 2 Peoria races, where she bolted out in the lead and then Shanice Garbutt got her. And at first the finish it was Sagona and Dirks and Garbutt getting her. She waited and she waited and she made her move halfway through the race and nobody was going to get her in this day. Shanice Garbutt, who was in the 90s last year, she gets 3rd with Campbell Peterson, the super frosh from Dunlop, who's going to be one of the runners to watch with Schwartz next year. Boy, there's so many great 2A runners coming back. But a great race by Jenna Schwartz. 1A, the boys, Elmwood. They just build during the season. They're consistent. They don't wear they don't wear spikes early in the year. They wear their training flats or racing flats in races. They're racing, but they don't put the spikes on until the time is right. And the time was right was at the state series. It was close, 150 points. 164 for Rockford Christian. Riley Wells, at 2 miles, he's at 16th place, and he gets 5th, the 800-meter champion, running like a maniac the last mile, but he got the job done for his team, for the Royal Lions. And then 3rd, defending champion, Harvest Christian Academy. So I hope that they don't get the success factor because they've won 2 trophies in 2 years and move up into 2A. I hope that doesn't happen. It shouldn't happen. The IHSA needs to do something about that success factor. It hurt Urbana University the last few years on the girls' side, where they had good teams that would have made a difference in 1A, in the top 10, but they were forced into 2A because Coach Doug Minot does a great job developing his program, developing his runners. but that wasn't the case. So I hope that doesn't happen with Harvest Christian Academy. They're doing a great job developing a great program. The individual race was one of the best individual races I've seen. And we've seen so many great races. We saw the Versbickus race. I got to see the Graves Spivey race that and one of the first meets I was at in 77, that motivated me to do what I did. And we've seen so many great finishes at the race, but there were so many great moves in this 1A race. And Jack McAnobla of Parker was responsible for that, because he stuck there with Wyatt McIntyre and Logan Hall throughout the race. Just kept pushing it. The pace kept pushing back and forth. Now I'm filming the runners. I go back and all-time Illinois great and friend of mine and my former coach at North Central, Ken Popejoy, goes, "Did you see that move? Did you see that move McNoble made?" Now I could hear it. Matt Piesinski on the truck made the description, and I saw a video of the move that's out there. I'm like, oh my gosh, he was in a. They come around the curve. All three of them were together. McNoble made a move, and then Hall and McIntyre had to reel him in, coming back down the hill, coming up to a half to go. And then the final quarter, McIntyre just laid down probably one of his fastest 400s on a cross-country course in his life, beat Logan Hall by 5 seconds. McNoble didn't have anything left at the end, but he gave it all on the course. He was third. But what a great individual race. The 1A girls race, boy, another runner with heart, and we talked about Dylan Jacobs, Jordan Harmon, the junior, and she'll be back next year, but she had a strain in her foot. And she didn't run for 3 weeks, so she was in the pool, she was doing everything to stay in shape. And she held on for dear life. It looked like, in the pictures that we took, she was wearing flats. So on that course, the first race of the day, where it was still misting, she was all state. Tolono had 3 runners all state. Now, St. Joe Ogden, they were a little bit nicked up too, because they had their number 2 runner during most of the year, Sam Mabry, didn't run in the state series because she had a stress fracture in her foot or a broken foot or something like that. And so only 2 points separated Tolono and St. Joe Ogden, and Monticello third. 3 Illini Prairie, new conference, tough conference, best 1A conference in the state, easily. So when you have the 3 top teams. Rock Falls, no, they were one of the favorites. And I saw the results and look what happened. Which one? I saw the numbers, and I didn't really look at the results until I got to the McDonald's in Chillicothe, and I'm loading up the results. And I saw Bailey Fortney, who runs with Alex Gomez, would have been in the top 15 in the race, or the top 10. But she struggled to get in. She was diagnosed later. She went to the hospital. She didn't get out of the hospital until Monday, where she suffered from severe dehydration. Severe hydration, boy, severe dehydration. And she's a sophomore. She'll learn from that. And Rock Falls will do some great things next year, along with Tolono, along with St. Joe, and along with Monticello, because they have all their runners back. So that's what I saw at state, and those are my feelings on state. Then, now I had a few people say, "Mike, don't do it. I'm not going to do it." Number of things that I've seen on social media afterwards, where you have so many of experts, blowhards, I don't know. So a number of things that can be said. One thing, the bibs. Guess what? That needs to be changed, IHSA. I'm telling you this right now. It's up there. Marshawn Adkins, who times other state meets across the country, when he's timing, he doesn't have a problem with the review of the video. He reviews every race. The bib's lower. He doesn't have a problem. Now, the main reason why the IHSA did that is because they started to allow kids to watch, look at their, wear watches during the races. That's another thing, but I'm not going to talk about that. So when they were looking at their watch crossing lines, stopping their watch, it was blocking the view. But since Marshawn has two cameras going, two looking both ways, and one looking at the side, correlated to see which runners came in, and doing the video review, he can pick that up. So, I mean, I've heard a ton of complaints about the people, people saying, well, we couldn't tell which teams. True. For me, I don't have that problem because I go to so many meets and I know all these runners. So you can see runners. So this, the first half mile of the race, I'm looking for Downers Grove North, and I see Miles Christensen, and I can see the black jersey. I'm like, ooh, black jersey for Downers North, cool. And the same thing, York, all white. They didn't wear their green. They were white. They had a YD on their front, but you couldn't tell because the bibs were so far high. So I had a problem watching them during the race. And so then I see some of these things on Facebook that are just ridiculous. I'm getting thanks guys for giving me a great laugh because you guys are so out of touch. They're overcoaching! Oh gosh, we never did that in the old days. Yeah, we did in the old days. In '78, York wore that jersey right there. In '79, we waited till the end of the year. Well, not the end of the year. We wore the green a few times, but we wore that jersey right there at State. And people complained about that afterwards. Oh, York changed their jersey. But you could see the York on there. Our numbers were lower and blah, blah, blah. It's not overcoaching. It's good strategy. The coaches are better now, learned from the coaches before. And, Bloom did it in the 70s. In fact, I found a red jersey in the triangle. Just kidding. So, with the bib problem, it is a problem. It does need to be corrected. And we'll see what happens. Yeah, I've been talking and doing a lot of other stuff in the background, so we'll see what happens. Another thing, and I had somebody email me, are you going to do a final top 25 rankings? No, I never do. And the standings stand for itself. But let me stress out again. I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. And the people that don't understand this, well, you are who you are. In some cases, because the IHSA looks at regional representation, and that's never going to change with this state meet. There are years that sectionals are better than other sectionals. So you could, like, for example, the 2A girls sectional at Normal University was loaded. Do I think the team that got 8th or 9th in that sectional could have finished in the top 20 at state? Yes, easily. Same thing in the boys. The boys sectional at Granite City wasn't the strongest. There were stronger sectionals. I'm trying to think if there were stronger sectionals. I mean, Hinsdale was strong. You didn't have a good Plainfield South team that should have gone, and that should have been at state. It could have run instead of some of those other teams that ran in this sectional down. But it doesn't mean when you get to the line, the 3A, I can't, because they're doing such a great job of organizing the sectionals and all that. You can't say it's a stupid statement. Well, it's not a stupid statement. It's your opinion. Your opinion is flaunted or whatever. That if you think that you have the top 25 teams on the line at state, it isn't the case. So I'll never do. I may do it this year. Or keep it to myself and go, that's interesting. And especially with the way that Roland Hopkins has done the speed rankings and all of that. There's so much emotions that go on in the races, and I look at emotions when I do the rankings and all that. I've been around for a long time, so you can see things in races, or you can see things in the feelings that teams are coming on strong, and all of that. If you make it to the state, that is a major accomplishment. That's something that you can't take. You can't take that away. But it doesn't mean that the top 25s If you get 24th in state, that doesn't mean you're the 24th best team at that meet on that day. So that's how I felt. That's how I felt since I've been running, way back when. And you learn some things and everything else. But I said those things. So anybody on Twitter who doesn't agree with me, show your Twitter muscles and accuse me of stuff. And on that. Go back in your little holes and hibernate until next cross-country season. Whatever. We have NXR regionals. We have NCAA D1 regionals on Friday, and we have D3 regionals go North Central on Saturday, and they're going to North Central advance. Can't wait to see them run in 2 weeks at Principia. And 2 weeks from now, we have the Hoka 1 time trials at Hope Academy in Chicago. I guess entries are free, so you can go out there, run a good 2-mile time trial on that track, timed, electronically timed. Should be a good time there. Wish I could be there. But we have this weekend on Sunday, we have NXR Midwest Regionals. The 1A individual race loaded. You have Gabe Fessel, whatever, of Indiana. You have Horder of Ohio. You have Kreft of Ohio. You have Kilray of Illinois. You have Mendez. You have Jacobs. You have a bunch of, and Victor Mugici of Blue Springs in Missouri. So you have some great individuals up there. And the teams, Downers North, clear favorite right now. The clear favorite. You run a 16-second split at state on that course, running one of the fastest times, they are the favorite, looking at speed rankings and all that. Now, there are some national people that have Carmel number 2. I'm here to tell you that the 2 Illinois schools, Wheat-Morville South, Neuqua Valley, are closer to Carmel than you think. And they'll run better races this weekend too. It's all Carmel, but it's going to be a lot closer than you think. So the possibility of having Illinois runner teams in the first 2, maybe 3 Illinois teams going back to Glendovier golf course in December, possibility. On the girls' side, we're going to see Caitlin Hart. I didn't look at the entries. I hope Nyeva Michelin will be in there. She deserves the trip to Portland. She's earned it this year. But you have a great field. I don't know if the Michigan teams. Boy, I wish the Michigan teams would be there because it would make it more interesting. Well, there's a good bunch of teams this year. Olivia Thies from Lansing, Caitlin Hart. Tyler Schwartz from Indiana, to name a few. So there are some good runners out there. Lindsay Payne. There are some good runners out there in this girls' race. It's going to be fun. Make the 3-hour trip to Indiana. Well, 3 hours for me. Make the trip out there. There's a live webcast. If you can't make it there, watch it there. We'll put the link up later in the week. We'll tweet that out. But it's going to be fun. So, have I ruffled anybody's feathers? Well, I ruffled somebody's feathers. I don't care. Take your shots. I can take it. I have thick skin. You guys don't. So, it's going to be fun. What a great season. Congratulations to everybody who ran at state, who ran cross country in Illinois this season. That's even more important. You made it to state. That's just icing on the cake. That's the cherry on top of your sundae. So, what a great year. We still have some teams that are going to do some stuff. Naperville, North Yorkville on the girls' side. They're the 2 big favorites on the girls' side to make it down, make it to Portland. So, hopefully that happens on Sunday. We're going to be back. So here's what's going to happen. We're going to be back next Monday or Tuesday, depending on how my voice is going on that, for another Monday morning finish line. Then no Monday morning finish line the following week. And then after Thanksgiving, we're going to have a Monday morning finish line leading into NXN. And then we'll have one after Foot Locker Nationals. And then no more Monday morning finish lines till March. So one more thing. Thank you for all your support. It's tough to have an independent site that, I mean, I do submit things and I do help out with DISTAT. I'm in charge of the results for DISTAT, the national director. But not having DISTAT Illinois, we move on. You make the best out of it, but thank you so much for your support this past season. Hard to say. I mean, last year I was in tears because I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know what was going to happen in my head. But great things are going to happen, and you're a part of it, and I appreciate that. So, until the next time we talk, go Illinois this weekend at NXR Midwest. It's Mike Newman, Monday Morning Finish Line. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.